Hello everyone and welcome to SEW-EURODRIVE's How-To series. We're going to be discussing how to maintain and take care of your product. So let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about changing the voltage of your SEW-EURODRIVE motor. So you may be asking, why do you need to change the voltage? Well, in some cases you need to change the voltage because the motor that you have isn't set up properly for your application. Or you may have a spare on the shelf that you need to change the voltage from high to low or low to high in order for it to work properly with your equipment. The really neat thing about SEW-EURODRIVE motors is that it is extremely simple to be able to change the voltage. And that's what we're going to show you how to do. But before we do that, let's talk about a few things that we need to make sure that we're aware of. One, you have to make sure that all your incoming power is disconnected. Remember how we mentioned de-energized? You've got to have the power cables off of there as well. The other thing that we want to make sure that we do is know what we're working with when it comes to the motor. Now, all SEW-EURODRIVE motors and gearboxes and products have a nameplate of some type. And this nameplate is going to give you the information as far as how this motor is wired and also the voltages that it has. The motor that we're going to be working on today is a 230/460 motor. And we're going to demonstrate how to change it from high voltage to low voltage and then back again. All right, so you notice the motor looks a little bit different. We went ahead and off screen took the conduit box off because we want you to be able to fully visualize what we're trying to accomplish here. And the best way to do that is so that you can actually see the wires up close. Now, in front of me, I have what we call the R76 connection. This is a very common connection used by SEW-EURODRIVE three-phase motors. There's a lot of other connections that are out there. You should go to the website and look up your particular connection based on your nameplate data. Otherwise, let's get back to what we're going to do here. Now, these motors are designed so that you can change just 3 wires and move them from one side of the motor to the other, and a few other things that we'll see in order to change the voltage. This motor, as it is situated, is already a high voltage wiring setup. We're going to change this to low voltage. In order to do that, the very first thing that we need to do is remove the red wire, the black wire, and the blue wire. In the wiring diagram, these are identified as T7, T8, and T9. So let's go ahead and take these off using the appropriate nut driver. Now I have the wires completely moved out of the way. You're going to notice that the motors have a lot of extra slack with the wires. It's important that you unwind the wires so that way you're able to move them properly without putting any strain or stress on the connections. So now we have them moved to the other side. Well, here you can see we have the brass bridges off to the side. We're going to go ahead and take those off. Now we have 2 more nuts to remove so that we can put our wires back into place. So let's go ahead and take those off. As a side point, these nuts are all the same, so it doesn't matter if you put them back on the same post. Now we're ready to reassemble the motor. Now we're ready to put the wires back into place for low voltage. And so it's important that you have these eyelets here. You want to make sure that they slide completely over the terminal post. So let's go ahead and let's take this and put them into place. So I've got my nut driver. We're going to take the blue wire and we're going to look for the T3 terminal, which is here. I'm going to go ahead and slide that onto place. It takes a little bit of dexterity because you have to hold the wire in place. It wants to spring off on you and also put the little nut into place. So I like to go ahead and get it finger tight. You can do a little bit of tightening with the nut driver, but I say just wait a little bit for that because I'm going to talk about that in a second. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our red wire, and our red wire is going to go to the middle one, which is T2. So let's go ahead and get that in there. And then finally, we're going to take the black wire. This is T7, and we're going to move it over here to T1. Now we have our wires in place. The other part of an R76 low voltage from high voltage is you have to take those brass jumpers and put them onto the other post. And so we're going to go ahead and do that here. So you just slide them over the top. Now there are 3 brass jumpers typically that are there, and you're wondering which side do I put them on. You can stack them however you want, put all 3 in place. It doesn't affect anything. You just want to go ahead and put them there because you may want to use all 3 of them for a different type of wiring setup. Let's go ahead and put our nuts on there. Now here's something that's really important before I finish tightening these. This ceramic block is extremely fragile. So if you over tighten these nuts, you can actually crack the block, and now you have to fix the block as well or replace it. So it's very important that you follow the torque specs for this. You may not have a torque wrench on hand, so just make sure that you don't over tighten it. There's no need to get crazy with the amount of torque that you're applying to these small little fasteners. You just want to make sure that your wires are unable to be jiggled back and forth once you tighten them. So I'll demonstrate that. I've tightened that first one, and then I'm checking it with my fingers and I can see that it's not moving. So I'm going to do the same with these. They're all secure, and now I'm going to apply that same style of tightening to the other 3 for the brass jumpers. Okay, now I've completely tightened everything. It's looking like it's all wired correctly, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing wrong with giving it a double take. Compare your wiring diagram to what you have in front of you before you do anything else. Now, because we're using a demonstration unit, the conduit box is off. In your case, the conduit box would be installed. So you'd still want to tuck the wires. It's good to put them out of the way. But in my case, I've got to be a little more careful because I'm going to make sure I don't mess the wires up when I put my conduit box back on. And that is what low voltage from high voltage looks like. Now we have everything successfully wired to low voltage. But I want to point out a couple of things. First, it's always important to verify the actual numbers on the wire and also the numbers on your terminal block so that everything is wired properly based on the wiring diagram. You don't want to rely just on the colors of the wires. They could be different from time to time. The other thing is a reminder of safety. Make sure that before you energize your circuit and turn your motor back on, you verified that everything is wired properly and that you don't have any potential for damage due to a stray wire, crimped wire, or damaged component. If you're interested in learning more about SEW-EURODRIVE's components, products, or solutions, please go to SEW-EURODRIVE.com. Together, we drive the world.